rope dropping is not fun. It is not
or easy.
easy. Literally, on my son's 10th birthday, going to Flight of Passage, he got an elbow from a group of that was an adult and very unapologetic, bloody lip, like all over.
Mm.
That's rope dropping, people. Maybe that's extreme. I don't know, but it happened once. But like we've lost a shoe before. I mean, it's
Yeah.
For the
it's
record, we
difficult.
haven't lost any kids, so
No, we still
That's a
have all our
plus.
children.
positives.
But you know what? If they can't keep up, they can't keep up.
That is Doug McKnight and Derek Sasman, the host of the very fun podcast Rope Drop Radio. You're listening to the Tomorrow Society podcast. Hey there, thanks for joining me here on episode 222 of the Tomorrow Society podcast. I am your host, Dan Heaton. Way back in September 2019, I was a guest on episode 168 of Rope Drop Radio. We talked about Epcot's past, present, and future. And I always planned to have Doug and Derek from that show on, and now, 4.5 years later, it has finally happened. They're here, and I'm just going to mostly quiz them. We're going to dive into so many different topics about what they enjoy and sometimes don't enjoy at Walt Disney World and Disneyland and beyond, including resorts, dining, attractions. We talk about the Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser and why that didn't end up working. So much cool stuff to cover, so let's get right to it. Here are Doug McKnight and Derek Sasman. Guys, thank you so much for both being on the show.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you.
us.
Yeah, about time that we're on your show. Thank you.
I know you had me on the show back in the ancient days of 2019, of the summer
Pre-pandemic.
2019. Yeah, so it
Yeah.
seems like not that long ago and then really, really long ago. Before we even get any further, though, just in case if listeners aren't familiar with your show, I would love to hear you guys talk about what Rope Drop Radio is, in case they're interested, just to give them kind of the brief primer.
Yeah, we are two dads that talk all things Disney. Doug and I love going to the parks, cruises, all the things, and we just want to share our wealth of knowledge and information, whether it's good or bad. We talk all things Disney and just love interacting with our listeners. But yeah, we go through the parks. We can give rope drop strategies, travel tips, and some fails along the way. And so we enjoy every week people tuning in along with us and enjoying some Disney magic.
We definitely cover the failures.
Oh, a
We
lot of failures.
definitely do that.
Yep.
It's not a trip if you don't fail at some point.
Mm-hmm.
So many failures. Just so many.
Yes.
Well, I really enjoyed the show. I'm curious, how did you guys initially get started doing Rope Drop Radio? Like, what got you interested in doing a podcast, especially a weekly show, which you guys have been very consistent?
Yeah, this is a kind of a fun thing. I was like, I have a background in radio and audio production, and I was like, I want to do a podcast, but I had to think about something that I want to do every week. And I knew the only topic I could talk about on nonstop was Disney, but I couldn't find a partner. I couldn't go solo. So I reached out to everyone, including my travel agent, my amazing travel agent, which just happened to be Doug's better half, Michelle.
Mhm.
And she's like, no. You need to talk to my husband. He calls me one day at the gym. I'm on the treadmill and I'm like running. So I finally get off the treadmill. We're talking all things Disney. And lo and behold, we start a podcast together. We don't even meet face to face for a year. Like we had done episode 30, 40, 50 before we ever met face to face. And here we are 7.5 years later, still recording, best of friends. We've done many trips together. Our families are good friends. And it's just been a blessing along the way.
Yeah, that sums it up pretty accurately. I second that, Derek. Yeah.
Doug, you're doing great here.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, that's interesting because when I listen to your shows, I'm just like, these guys have probably been friends since they were 8 years old or something. Just because that's the vibe you guys have. But obviously, it's more been. I mean, you do a weekly podcast for that long, though. That's a lot of time together.
It is. You get to know each other really well, and you have the time right before you record, right after you record. We turn the time after you record into our Patreon show, where sometimes we just ramble and chat, which literally we did that last night. And then the trips together, you get to know someone really well, really quick when you go on a trip. Like first time we really spent time together was sharing a room at Coronado Springs, rope dropping Pandora. It was what, a week old,
Yeah,
right? Like we were there a week after open. We're going on Flight of Passage. We learned a lot about each other that day. I learned that Derek giggles when he sits down on Flight of Passage.
it's true. And you learn how someone eats. Like Doug is a really slow eater. I'm inhaling my food, ready to go
I
on the
like
next
to
attraction.
taste things. They
There's
have
no time to
flavor.
taste things when you're at Disney World. Let's go.
You got rides to do. Come
Yeah.
on, Doug.
Yeah, I like you also, the food is just as much an attraction as the attractions.
You guys have done a lot of really fun episodes, not just one with me. There's been a lot of other fun episodes too, but a recent one that I thought was fun to briefly talk about, which I listened to and enjoyed, was the Walt Disney World Resorts rankings. Where now I will say to everyone listening, we're recording this in late January, so it'll be a little less recent to all of you, but still very cool show. My favorite resort, Animal Kingdom Lodge, which
Mm.
did very well. I know you were
Mhm.
both a little surprised, but it did very well. But so I'm curious, what was like a big surprise? Was there something from that list that you guys were like, what are people thinking? Because some of those surprised me, but I have not stayed, unlike Doug, I have not stayed at all the resorts.
I have had the privilege of at least one night at every resort on Walt Disney. I have not done a tent though, mind you. Never done a tent there. But it was a great show. Episode 401, Derek's brainchild, actually. Give him the credit where credit is due.
Yeah,
But
we
the
asked all of
task,
our listeners. It's not
yeah,
it's like
it's
everyone
the
we sent it out to
listeners.
everybody. Yep.
And the task of ranking all of them 1 through 22, and like we combined some things, did some things, to get to that 22 number. Didn't use Swan and Dolphin, right? But like it's hard. Like some people had values as number one, some people had moderates as number one. But in the end, I mean, Polynesian ran away with it, and I don't think I was surprised. Were you on that one,
I
Derek?
was surprised at how far it ran away. Like I was
Ran.
expecting 1, 2, 3 to be close, like Animal Kingdom, Polly, a few votes away. No, the Polynesian was light years ahead of everything else by far. And I think that was my biggest surprise.
Yeah, so Animal Kingdom that you referenced came in third, right? And I learned that people don't value transportation time. That's what that taught me. That's why I had that much lower.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you just said transportation, obviously walking to Epcot
Right.
from like Beach Club is much better. But I also think like, well, for me, it's always just like, well, it's a lot cheaper. And I'm just like, well, the transportation's annoying, but wow, that resort is cool. But yeah,
Mhm.
it's a close one. We stayed at the Swan recently, and the walking to the parks was I know that wasn't on your list because it's not technically a Disney resort, but
Right.
it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, walking's great. Derek, what surprised you the most?
The Poly being that far. Also,
Oh,
some of
that
the
far, that
votes.
gap.
I mean, but also some of the votes, All Star Music got some number one votes. People love,
Yeah.
staying
Hey,
affordably at Walt Disney World. So
and family suites at All Star
yeah,
Music. That had I'm assuming that's what does it, right?
I think so. I would think so because it's not like Pop Century with the Skyliner. Well, I want to ask also, Doug. I believe you and your wife are more on this, but Rope Drop Radio on Deck,
Mhm.
the cruise show, which guys don't hurt me here. I have not been on any Disney cruise before or a large ship cruise. Partially,
Okay.
my wife gets very motion sick. Isn't that interested in cruising? But also, I'm not going to blame her. I'm so into the parks that I don't do as much. But we're not going to go down that road. I'm just curious for you. I know being into cruises and doing a whole show now on it. What is like? Why are you so interested in cruises, or what is it about the cruises that are so cool?
Well, first of all, what you just said about you and your wife sounds like my wife and I, like 12 years ago. I was afraid of the motion sickness. My wife was like very into the parks, rope drop, all the attractions. But then, like, we need to try this. And she said, you're either going to throw up for 3 days or you're going to love it. I ended up loving it. I wore a scopolamine patch, right? I think the thing I love the most about cruising is how much you're taken care of. Just every facet. If you need something, you just kind of turn around and ask for it. That's what really is amazing. The entertainment's never that far away. The food's never that far away. If all of a sudden I decide I need to change shoes, I'm 5 minutes from my room. Where at Disney World, you're a half hour. It's just all encompassing. You're cared for. Like my wife really loves not having to think about dinner. You don't even really have to decide where you're going to dinner, right? You can have that all mapped out. You get waited on hand and foot. It makes me sound really lazy when I say it that way, but that's true. And then the
No,
other
that's
thing
you
we
in a
like,
nutshell. Lazy. I
it's me
got
in a
it.
nutshell.
Yes.
Yeah. And facts. The other thing that we love about cruising is that you can see lots of different destinations in a snapshot form. Like Europe with kids is fantastic on a cruise ship because you can hit major ports. You don't have to worry about a train, a bus, your luggage, different hotel rooms. You check in once, you're there for a week or 10 days, and you see like 3 countries. We've done it via land, and there we're making our son carry 2 bags up the narrow little stairs on a bullet train. It's just a lot more, it's more authentic. Don't get me wrong. But one nice thing
Yeah.
about when we were in Greece, we ate this very authentic Greek lunch that was made on a farm, right? And when I booked it, I was like, the kids don't like it. Guess what? We get back on the ship, they know where the chicken strips are.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. So, I could keep asking about all of these topics, but we need to get to. I will say, this show, we are going to dive into a bunch of questions. What you guys love about the parks, what maybe you don't like so much, some fun off the wall questions. Before we do that, though, I need to ask another thing I haven't done. We're just going to talk about all the things I haven't done, but I know that you guys, especially Derek, you are a big fan, or were a big fan of the Galactic Star
Oh, I'm
Cruiser.
still a fan. Yes.
Which did close this past September.
What?
I know. I'm sorry. I know you drove over there and it was just this, you don't know what happened, but it flew away. It's not there anymore. But I'm curious for you, like, a lot of people like myself, the price was a little scary, but I've heard a lot of amazing things. So I'm curious for your opinions and what you enjoyed about it so much.
Well, I can say, in my opinion, the Galactic Star Cruiser is the greatest thing Disney ever came up with the worst marketing ever behind it. I went 3 times, and financially looking at it, yeah, it was expensive. I did split rooms with Doug, with
Mhm.
Patreons, and then the final one, I took my son and my friends. Splitting it makes it worth it. And the experience behind it, it is a 46-hour live action role play Star Wars experience. It is choose your own adventure. It is a dinner theater. It is an escape room. It is so many things all in one. And it doesn't even matter if you're a Star Wars fanatic like I am. If you just like immersive theater or something
Mhm.
complete unique, this was it for you. Like you're
Like the
interacting with
music,
characters. Yeah, music.
the
There's
music alone, good. Dinner, good.
music, food,
Like a cruise.
everything. It felt like Disney at its finest, the cast members all involved.
Mhm.
And it's just an experience that is so hard to explain to people until they do it. Like I've taken friends, we had Patreons, former cast members, and they're like, oh, we didn't get this by the commercial. This is awesome. I can't wait to go again. And like I said, I went 3 times. I would book a fourth in a heartbeat, no questions asked.
When we went with the Patreon group, one of our good friends, friend of the show, friend in real life type, he had zero intention. He's like, is ridiculously priced, stupid priced. But when we got off it the first time and we planned this and we said, you will like it, he trusted us enough to drop the change on it. And he went with it. He had time of his life. Like it was fantastic. And
Once a month, still texting us like, oh man, that was
about
so cool. I
how
wish I
they
could go
screwed it
again.
up.
Yep.
How did they fail at this? And I think after the first time we went, went into the first time thinking like this might be a one time only, one time experience, the price tag, and then we did it almost exactly a year later.
Yeah.
That tells you that speaks volumes.
And I would have gone again. Like the third time I went, it was a month roughly after the second time because it was closing. And my wife texted me and said, get our son on this bleepity bleepity bleep thing, or else we're going to have marriage problems. So thankfully, my amazing TA was able to get me and some friends on there. But the like living vicariously then through my child, like I'd done it twice. I was like, I don't want to spend money again. But like watching him, and he's a Star Wars fan, and seeing him fall in love with it and doing all the games, interacting with characters, it is priceless. Like, I don't even care what money I spent to do that experience. It was worth every single penny. And now I'm sad that I can't take my other 2 kids, and hopefully it reopens in some capacity down the road so I can do those more. Yeah, it was an amazing time. And I wish you would have experienced it.
I had watched a lot of Disney's videos, but then I watched a few like very long YouTube videos that had been done, like basically where they went through the whole thing. And then I watched those and I was like, oh yeah, now I understand it more. Because you see the room and you're like, that looks small. You see
It
you
is.
see like the dinner and you see Guy and I'm like, oh, that looks kind of nice. And the lightsaber fights. But when you see the whole, like they went through and they showed all the different things, all the interactions with the cast members, and I was like, oh, these are like, especially a few of the actors or, cast members were really good. Like in the ones I
Mhm.
watched in the video, the Imperial guy, I forget the character's name.
Roy.
Oh boy, was very good in the videos I watched. So I got it more. Like you said, I didn't get it till then. Of course, it's been closed for a long time, so it didn't matter at this point. But still, I hope what did Disney do to mess this up? I don't want to get stuck. I wanted to talk about other things, but I need to ask because you mentioned it. What do you think was the problem beyond just it cost too much?
I have a background in marketing and I do TV commercials for a living. And so like they really failed at getting the right audience to view this property and understand what it is. I think they targeted too hard on the Disney people. Hey, we got to do all the Disney hotels. We'll just check this off. They really failed at getting the Star Wars fanatics involved because after it closed, like I have friends in the 501, like people who dress up like stormtroopers for a living and go to kids' birthday parties. They had no idea. Like we're talking and they're like, I don't understand. I've never heard of this thing. And I'm like, that is the point. Disney missed that demographic completely. And I think if they were able to target the Star Wars fanatics a little bit more than the Disney fans who might dabble in Star Wars, this thing would be going on continuously for a while.
And the other problem, Derek's nail on the head. The marketing was misguided and misdirected. The other problem was the price tag. It was too high to get the initial interest to actually look at it, to open it up and look at it. Because from my wife, who's a travel agent's perspective, she knew some people that are big Star Wars fans and stay deluxe. They've done DCL, they've done a ABD. She sent them information about it, and they're like, "It's how much for 2 nights?" Their brain, they wouldn't even look at it. So they somehow needed to find a way to drop the price tag just enough to make it so people looked at it. I don't think adding a third night is the solution either, because after the 2 days, you are exhausted.
Yeah. It
It's
looked
a
exhausting.
46-hour sprint.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you. I think even for me, I've spent good amounts of money. We went to Alani. We've stayed at some deluxes, like you said, but it just there was something about it was just it was such a short time, and it was like I don't know. This just seems like a lot per day,
Right? Could I go on the Wish for 4 nights?
Yeah.
Or do this for 2?
Split it with some people, but where else
That's
in
the
Disney
thing.
property? And this is what's continued to come up, and some of the reason why it failed. Disney never imagined, like if I'm going to Alani, if I'm going to Beach Club, I'm not going to put on a random Facebook group.
Yeah.
Anyone want a room with me so we can make it cheaper? But a lot of people did that at the Star Cruiser, and that was both a blessing and a curse, I think, for Disney.
And also the characters people made. I don't know if they realized how much people got so into it, but they just didn't market to enough people, I think. But okay, let's dive in. I think I'm going to dive right in. I have a bunch of just different topics. Some we could probably answer quickly. Some are probably more fun to answer a little more extensively. Since you guys have been to the parks a lot more than me, which I've been a lot for many, many years, but we're all in the Midwest. You guys are in Nebraska. I'm in St. Louis, Missouri. So similar kind of thing where you got to fly and or drive really far or whatever. But
For the record, we always fly through your airport to get there.
I'm
Happens
sorry.
way too much.
Yes.
I'm really sorry.
I see the arch, we land. I know we're on our way to Disney World.
Well, it's a nice marker then. Yeah,
Yep.
we
Yeah.
still do have the Southwest direct flight. So
Yep,
that's good.
I know.
Nonstop too. Don't lose that, please.
Please don't.
All right.
Right.
So let's are you guys ready? I'll start with one of you, but then the other one can dive in. And there's no right or wrong. Well, depending on what you say. There are probably no right or wrong answers here. It's just to kind of talk about a variety of topics, what you guys like, what you don't, just some various things. So you guys ready?
Always.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we talked about resorts. I'm talking about like resorts like hotels, not like the Disney resort or anything. What's a resort let's start with you, Doug, that you think does not get enough attention? And it could relate to your list or not, or the list the readers do. But I'm curious, what's something you really push for? People should stay there.
Okay, so attention, like people should like it. Caribbean Beach and Pop Century. Those are the two They're on the Skyliner. It just maximizes your value out of moderate or a value resort. It's just unfathomable that it has that. And it's like Animal Kingdom, a deluxe, you can't even walk to the Animal Kingdom or take a Skyliner anywhere, right? So I
Yeah.
think those are the two. Now, I don't throw Art of Animation in there because it's got the family suites. It's its own thing. It was doing what it does with or without the Skyliner. But Pop just it separated itself from All Stars significantly with that Skyliner, and people sleep on that. Like recently, we had to talk my brother-in-law to like, no, you don't want to stay at Coronado Springs again because now there is a Skyliner at Caribbean Beach. And like day 2 of his trip, he's like, "This Skyliner thing is really neat. You should let people know about that." Thanks.
Never talked
Yeah,
about that on the show
never
every
mentioned that
episode.
once. But
Brand new.
yeah,
Yeah,
What do you think, Derek?
well, I was gonna you freaking took mine. I was gonna say the Jamaica
ah,
rooms at Caribbean Beach. I
the
mean, that is
best.
Skyliner territory, and people forget about them, and they're being refurbed. I mean,
Hmm.
it is such a hidden gem, that whole side of Caribbean Beach, more affordable. And so definitely the resort that I see continuing to go up in the people's lists. I can see that being a top 5 resort because you're getting kind of a deluxe travel feature at a moderate price. So definitely the one that we're seeing. Now, you ask us when this show started, Caribbean Beach dropped quite a bit. And I think that's what's fascinating
Right.
about Disney. As we've continued to do this show, what resorts have become more popular, less popular? When we started, I hated Pop Century. Now I like Pop Century because it does have a Skyliner.
And I
So
force you to stay there.
you do well, it's affordable.
Yeah.
I think the one that needs the most attention, Animal Kingdom Lodge,
Yep.
needs a transportation system between Animal Kingdom Lodge and Animal Kingdom. I think it's beyond past ridiculous that that hasn't happened yet. Skyliner looking over animals pays for itself. I just cannot understand why there isn't something that helps that
I
transportation out, and it'll get more people into that park.
I think Coronado to Animal Kingdom Lodge is a no-brainer for a Skyliner.
Mm.
And you could even break off and go to Typhoon Lagoon, Blizzard.
Blizzard Beach,
My
right?
bad, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that would be a great Skyliner addition.
Oh, I agree, and I think I've talked about it in the show before. But yeah, like you would think if they're going to do an extension at some point, the obvious thing is to hit because Coronado. Then you've already, they've already made part of that more exciting,
Yep.
and then with the tower and everything. So then they do that, and then yeah, I don't even know if it's logistically possible for them to have a walking path from Animal Kingdom Lodge to Animal Kingdom. But if they did, I don't care if it's 25 minutes, I would do it because it would be nice. But I don't know if they can do that. But the Skyliner is the good move. Okay, we're gonna flip to something less exciting.
Oh,
Okay.
I know you guys.
Way to keep the listeners
yeah.
engaged.
And someone just tuned off the show.
Not less exciting. Let's say not as, yay, this is good. I don't know. I'm actually not 100% sure if you've been to much in terms of international resorts, but I'm curious for you, Derek. What is your least favorite Disney park that you have visited?
Well, I've only been stateside to all of them. I'm going to go with Animal Kingdom. I do love it, but there's just not enough there to keep me all day. And when park hopping disappeared during the pandemic, I think Doug and I got there at rope drop and we were done by 10 a.m. Like, did the whole thing.
If that.
Right.
Yeah. So Animal Kingdom, I just wish there was a lot more to do. And I hopefully when Dinosaur Land and all that gets regutted and changed, hopefully they add some more attractions. They can make it a little bit more full day park. Add a nighttime show again. Figure it out.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I enjoyed it when they had a nighttime show. I mean, whatever people think of Rivers of Light, it was really cool being there at night. It was
Exactly. That's all they needed.
fun. What do you think, Doug?
All right. Well, I'm gonna head over to Paris and go to Studios Park.
Yeah.
I remember walking in there and, we went back a little ways and I was like, didn't have a map out because why would I need a map? And I'm trying to like figure out how to get back to the next area of the park. I'm like, oh, well, I'm at the back. Okay, this is it. It's just like this long U-ish shaped of like, here's 3 off-the-shelf rides that we call Toy Story Land. I mean, they're literally like carnival rides. If it wasn't for Crush's Coaster and Ratatouille, and like Ratatouille was an addition to that park. Like,
Yeah.
oh, that would have been bad. And I mean, they reopened Rock and Roller Coaster as Iron Man, changed it over to Avengers Campus, which is a plus. But until they finish that expansion, oh, that park is rough. And it doesn't look like that expansion is going to be done by July, which it needed to be. It really needed to be.
Well, I got to tell you, that's the reason I mentioned international, because I was like, if somebody's been to Paris, that's going to be the pick.
Yeah.
I thought DCA might be, but they got Cars Land, so I
Oh,
didn't
they've
think so.
they
I
have
thought,
Avengers
DCA
Campus.
so
yeah,
much.
they have
Spider-Man can ride
they
alone
got
keeps
Avengers
that up.
Campus. I was
Yeah.
wondering Animal Kingdom, but I knew it would be Studios Paris. You think it was bad, Doug?
Oh, so bad.
I went there in 2006.
Oh, I
No
can't
Tower
imagine.
of Terror. Tower of Terror wasn't done. No Ratatouille. No Crush's Coaster. What did they have? An Armageddon stunt show. They
Mm.
had Rock and Roller Coaster, but it didn't have all the sets. It's a different version. I'm trying to think. They had the Lights, Motors, Action.
Yeah, that was
It
good.
was,
We
and they had
enjoyed
a
that.
backlot tour that made no sense because they weren't
It-
making anything.
And it didn't go anywhere. It was
No,
like,
it went by
it's like,
Dinotopia.
oh,
and
we're
stuff.
we're back. It was the shortest backlot tour.
Now it's Cars, but
Yeah, that was there when it was Cars themed, and it was kind of like, oh, this is random stuff. It's like, yeah, we got this prop from a movie that no Americans have ever seen. Like, it's French props from French movies. Not to sound like an American snob, like I am in France, but like, come on, Walt Disney Company. I know
All
you
right.
have props.
it's bad. But okay.
They're fixing it though.
Yeah, I think they'll get there. I just wish they would, kind of like with Animal Kingdom,
Get
with the
there
expansion.
faster.
I'm like, okay, guys, let's get there. Come on.
The original goal with Arendelle was to be done in time for the Olympics, and that's not happening.
No.
So it's coming though.
It's really, yeah.
The
I
one
think
guy
it'll
that
be
worked
cool.
on Tron is now over there working.
Yeah, hammers are hard to export.
I know. It's
Yeah.
the one guy.
That's all they got.
That's job security. That guy.
All right. Another question, Magic Kingdom, not the easiest place always, but there are some cool dining spots. So what is your go-to place to eat at the Magic Kingdom? Doug, what is your go-to place?
Columbia Harbor House. I really enjoy going upstairs where it's quiet. I don't know if I'm there for the food or for the quiet. Probably for the quiet.
Not always. That's a good choice. I have found the upstairs is not as quiet as it once was. Maybe because I've gone during spring break.
Yeah, you got to rope drop it still.
You got to rope drop the upstairs.
Rope drop the upstairs.
What do you think, Derek? Another choice?
I do. What's funny is you asked Magic Kingdom. I'm like, I have a signature like restaurant, all the other parks. Magic Kingdom, it's like, where am I at when I'm hungry? Oh, I'm on the Frontier side. I'm
Right.
going to Pecos Bills. Oh, I'm in the Tomorrowland side. I'm eating with Sunny Eclipse. So like those are the two that I feel like I go to every single time we're at Walt Disney World. Yes, there is some signature dining I love at Magic Kingdom, but if it's in a pinch, I need to eat, I'm going to one of those two with my kids.
That's why I asked Magic Kingdom, because of course, if I said Epcot, it'd be like, which one do we want to choose? Like, no,
Yeah.
that's too easy. No, we gotta make. I guess that might be harder in a way, though. Actually,
It is, but like it's a more fun choice.
yeah.
Like you're deciding between good places.
Like
Places
Animal
you
Kingdom,
want
I
to
mean, we're
eat?
going to Satuli's Canteen
Yeah.
no matter what. I mean,
Not a question.
Hollywood
Yeah.
Studios, I'm going to
Wait,
Woody's.
there's other restaurants at Animal
I
Kingdom? Derek?
know, it's weird. I only
Yak
go to
and
one.
Yeti's not so bad.
Actually,
but,
I do like Yak and Yeti.
Yeah.
It's Satuli Canteen is much better value.
Mhm.
But we'd have to be there long enough for it to open for dinner.
You're gonna rope drop it for.
I have
Yeah.
rope dropped Yak and Yeti. Like I was bored one time. I'm like, oh, I guess Yak and Yeti is about to open. I guess we'll go there.
All right. Well, I'm going to throw in a question. I had sent you guys topics to give you a heads up. I'm going to throw in a question that is not one of the questions. That
Oh,
I
like
had
we
sent
read
you.
topics anyway.
Yeah, I
All
know.
right,
So
go
you're
on.
basically doing this.
Yeah.
Doing this. Okay, so you're in charge of the parks. Bob Iger comes to you and says, "Hey, Disney's in trouble. We've got to remove one of these attractions to save money." So, Derek, which one of these do you remove? I'm going to give you choices. You have to remove one.
All right.
Flight of Passage,
Mhm.
Slinky Dog Dash, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, or Remy's Ratatouille Adventure. You remove one, the parks stay open, Disney doesn't collapse.
I'm looking at Seven Dwarfs Mine Train because it has been operating a little inconsistently, and there's a lot of other attractions in the Magic Kingdom that I feel like could fulfill the amount of people. I've been there and skipped Seven Dwarfs. I don't go to Animal Kingdom and skip Flight of Passage. So I think when it comes to attractions, that's the one you can kind of pull. I'm trying to think of how many cast members work on each one to save money. That was kind of my first thought, but yeah, Seven Dwarfs is where I'm going to
You're giving too much thought to a silly question.
I do. It
but
was
it's
a quick
okay.
question too. I was like, okay, I have to put my brain on. All right.
That's I want to throw a few weird ones at you.
And my other
Not
thought
that
always when people ask me questions like, I need to answer before Doug answers. So thank you for picking on me first.
Yeah.
Well, I've been flipping back and forth, but Doug, so don't say Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. Of the
Okay.
other ones, if one of those options, which would you remove?
All right, so it was Flight of Passage, Ratatouille,
Slinky
or
Dog,
Slinky Dog.
Remy, or Ratatouille.
So
yeah.
I think Slinky Dog is too important to Hollywood Studios. Flight of Passage way too important to Animal Kingdom. I would go Ratatouille. Plus, I think out of the four, Ratatouille might have the most downtime. It's
does.
closed at Rope Drop very
Yes.
consistently lately, which is really frustrating for people that rope drop. So I'd probably go with Ratatouille. Plus, they were so lazy when cloning it, they used the same audio. What are we doing? I think it was Patton Oswalt that was like, he said something like, yeah, I was waiting for the phone call to record the audio track for the attraction. Didn't need to, I guess. So that angers me. So they should close it just for that.
Do you get motion sickness on that? You mentioned
I do. I can't go on that.
Because my
one. It's
wife
crazy.
did it once and she was like, no, don't do that again.
I can do Flight of Passage. I can do Mine Train.
Doug's motion
but it's
sickness
cool.
makes no sense. It
It
has
makes
no
total
rules.
sense.
It has no laws.
I
Who knows
cannot
what's
do
gonna
Slinky Dog.
happen?
I can't
But
do
you can do
Ratatouille.
Flight
It's
of Passage,
Yeah,
really. I feel
yeah.
like that's
It
more
gets
intense than
touch and go
Remy's.
at moments, but I
Yeah.
like it so much, I make it worth it.
I see. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
you know, I can
it's
see that.
the
It's what
payoff.
is worth
Like,
it. Yeah.
If Ratatouille was really good, I'd go on it and just like, no, I need to close my eyes for this section type of thing. But I went on a couple times when I was in a park where it was the only thing worth going on. And that was years ago.
Yeah.
And then
Back
when
to
it was the
Paris
exact
again.
same. Like when they literally cloned it.
Doug can't go
Nothing
on Star Tours, but Rise of the Resistance
Oh.
sure doesn't make sense.
Well, Rise of the
It does
Resistance,
too.
really, if it wasn't for that drop, I don't feel like there's any. I mean, nothing else.
That's so
really
short.
That much. And it's very
So short.
You just kind of brace yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about more restaurants. So, Doug, what is a sit-down restaurant at a resort? So anything not in a park that you don't want anyone else to find out about because it's so good.
We talk about one way too much. That would be great if people just stop making reservations. That'd be Ohana. But I don't know how people
Yeah.
don't find out about Ohana.
People know about Ohana, I
yeah,
will
They
say.
know. I feel like that's not really an answer here. It's at a resort and I really love it. But I'm going to have to just say Ohana. If we could brainwash people, get the little white flashy thing out from Men in Black. I know not the right, company, but they could forget about Ohana.
I've heard it's really terrible, so everyone should not go there.
There you
It's
go.
just
There you
so
go.
bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Derek,
All
do
right,
you have more of a hidden
Yes,
gem?
a hidden gem,
Yeah, I
Bar
don't.
Riva at the Riviera. Fantastic food, fantastic drinks on the Skyliner. It is such a gem and I feel like I get some of the best service. And I really don't want a whole lot of people to know about that, especially because I'm staying at the Riviera in March. But it is one of my favorite secret gems on property.
I guess
That's
if
a good
I use
one.
the words hidden gem, I would say Geyser Point.
That's a
It's
good
like-
one. See, there you go,
Right.
Doug.
But
It just took some time.
the stomach was thinking, so it was hard to get past that. But Geyser Point is one that, like, the less people know, the better.
Yeah, I've heard great things about that, and Bar Riva, I've barely heard people talk about. So that's good. That's a hidden gem.
Yes.
I'm writing this down right now. Okay, let's talk about attractions you don't like. So, Derek, all of Walt Disney World, what is your least favorite attraction?
Journey to Imagination. Can't stand it. Why not? Or just Figment. Come on, bring them back to the old version, and I would be happy. Retheme. The fact that they haven't done it by now just blows my mind. And yeah, that's probably my least favorite one. And my kids
Wow.
make me go on it every
Yeah.
single time we're in Epcot.
Yes, I am a old Epcot fan, and not that I don't like a lot of the new stuff. I like a lot of the new attractions there, but yeah, that Journey to Imagination. now.
Hashtag
And I
bring
go on
back
it every
Dreamfinder.
time. There's not a long wait. I'm just like, okay, sure, we'll go on it again. They're like, oh yeah. I don't know if I call it my least favorite, but it's not in the top. Doug,
Mhm.
what do you think?
Oof, this is a tough one. There's like a tie at the Magic Kingdom for me. One is based off my favorite classic live action movie. The other one spurred off into a horrible live action movie. That would be Swiss Family Robinson Treehouse or Country Bears. I really can't decide which one I
Oh.
hate more. One
Wow.
makes me do cardio. And the other one just makes me feel socially awkward. Like, should I be listening to this? What decade is it? And are my children understanding what's happening? Oh, yes, they are, and they're wondering why it's still here. So, yeah, it's those two, and one's getting fixed. Hallelujah! And I know
Yeah.
the hate mail can come right to me
No, it's
at
fine.
Rope Drop Radio. I get it. I get it all the time. These
I'm not
find us on Twitter.
precious.
Send me a
I'm not
message.
precious about it. I totally get it. The thing is, there's like connections to Walt and everything else, but then you go and experience it. And my daughters are just like, they're like, what is this, Dan? They've always been like this. So they're a little bit even that way with Carousel of Progress, but it's even more with Country Bear
Oh
Jamboree.
yeah, because
So-
at least Carousel of Progress doesn't talk about picking your own switch or whatever. I don't know. I don't think that is it. Buford bleeding on a saddle. I don't even remember. There's
Now you're just mixing songs all in
I
one
You are.
statement.
You got him. You
but-
mixed two different things, but you're close.
all the hate mail.
People
we
get the
we
reference.
All the hate mail, right? Tweet right at Rope Drop Radio. I'll take it. Yeah, it's all Doug. It's not
Well,
Derek. It's
Yep.
Doug.
Speaking of Rope Drop Radio, I thought actually I should mention I thought one of you might mention the Lightning McQueen show, but I don't even know if that's worth going
I
to
love
enough
that
to
show.
It's way better than
I go
what we
every
mentioned.
single time. My kid loves it.
Ah,
So,
okay.
worst
And
thing
that-
in the studios? Not even worst thing in the studios. That's the Mickey and Minnie's movie.
Yeah.
Like it's a collection of clips.
I don't know if I'd even call that. I know what they call it an attraction.
It's
so technically,
listed,
Disney
isn't it?
calls it an attraction, but it's kind of like the Pixar short and Disney live action
Yep.
short films.
Best
Or not
nap
live
I have
action,
ever taken.
Where I'm
in that
like,
thing.
why is this here? I don't understand.
Lazy.
But-
That's why.
Lightning
Okay.
Queen, that animatronic is fantastic,
Oh.
and it blows my mind every time.
It does have a very good animatronic. So right there, I think that
Longest
does put
queue
it
I've
ahead
ever
of certain-
waited in my life. But yeah, we got
Choices were made.
on. They were pandemic when they only let 6 people in there at a time.
Oh, that's why I was wondering. I was like, really?
I
Longest
was like,
queue?
all right,
Okay.
well, I was there. I was like with my kid, my wife and other kids were doing other things. I was like, I guess we live here now in this line. He wants to see lightning. What else are we gonna do? We're annual pass holders. I guess we'll just sit here.
That sounds fun. All right. Well, you guys, being that you are Rope Drop Radio, and I know you guys even talked about this very recently on your show. Start with Derek. What is the easiest park to rope drop at Walt Disney World? What's the one that's just like, this was great. It was fun. It's easy.
I think the Magic Kingdom, because you can do 2 ropes at the same time. If you come in late, you can just get on the second rope to be able to go to Swiss Family Robinson. I'm kidding. Go Jungle Cruise and
Definitely
Pirates.
first step.
So
Country
yeah,
Bear Jamboree.
yeah, go to those. But I think Magic Kingdom, because they let you into the park. Yes, you can get your Starbucks. If you're, staying on property, that's when you get there early. You can get over to Tomorrowland. But yeah, if you're getting there late, you can still get on a rope and get to one of the signature attractions.
Well, I don't know if you have a different answer there, Doug, because it might be the same. But I'm curious if you have a contrary opinion.
The way you phrased the question was like, which one was fun or the easiest? Which zero rope dropping is not fun. It is not
Or
easy. Literally on my son's 10th birthday, going to Flight of Passage, he got an elbow from a group of that was an adult and very unapologetic, bloody lip, like all over.
Mm.
That's rope dropping, people. Maybe that's extreme. I don't know, but it happened once. But like we've lost a shoe before. I mean, it's
Yeah.
For the
it's
record, we
difficult.
haven't lost any kids, so
No, we still
that's
have
a
all our
plus.
Positives.
but you know what? If they can't keep up, they can't keep up. That's
Yeah.
just we.
Sorry, you're on the next Pirates boat. Ha ha, loser.
Yeah. But
My
Magic
4-year-old.
Kingdom, if you're not doing Mine Train, is one of the more relaxing rope drops because the people going to space, yeah, there's like a few handful of teenagers that are gonna like run, but everybody else is pretty chill. People
Right.
going to Mine Train have strollers that are now weapons. They have to park it. They have to get back to line. So you have people like, oh, I'm catching up, and they all pass you, and that's annoying.
Oh, boy.
Where at Space Mountain, you don't have that. Like people are all together usually. I peel off and I rope drop Buzz with all the cool kids. They're all like under 44 inches. So I agree, Derek, that it's it's probably the easiest, especially and if you're late, you're like, all right, guys, executive decision. We're rope dropping Adventureland. We're not gonna use early entry rope drop. We're gonna get on that rope and we're gonna be the first ones to Jungle Cruise.
That's
have a-
good. Yeah.
Have a
I-
back pedal play.
I would not. I'm like, I mean, I hate to say it because I don't like to award Disney for this, but I'm just going to pay for Mine Train. I'm not fighting that battle. I'm just going to, I'm going to do that. Yeah, once we did Epcot when Soarin' was bigger before the third theater, and I remember we rushed over there, scrambled, got there, we had a stroller and everything, and then it was 90 minutes. And then we went, okay, we're leaving. So rope drop, not that fun. I have to agree.
You
Not
gotta
always
be on
that
that
fun.
rope. You gotta
Yep.
earn it.
we were
It's
too far
fun
back.
when you're the first one in the park and you get a couple things done before everyone else.
Oh,
Yeah. I mean, is it harder now than it used to be? Did it
Yes.
used to be easier?
well, so yes and no. So with early entry being the way that it is, it distributes the crowd evenly to all the parks. Before with extra magic hours,
Right.
everybody's like, "Oh, this is where we get in early," and they would go there even if they're showing up an hour and a half late because they're just lemmings, right? So if you stayed on property, you never wanted to use extra magic hours.
Right.
And rope drop was way more chill at the other three parks. The one with extra magic hours, though, was a disaster. Now they're all even, which
And
is
the
good.
buses
and
are
bad.
all full.
Right. Before, we had a video showing the line to the Magic Kingdom, which was having extra magic hours, and then all the other bus lines were at Pop
Nobody.
Century, and
Yep.
they're all just empty, right?
Mhm.
And it's like the people getting in line there have already missed rope drop for extra magic hour. Like they're gonna arrive to the Magic Kingdom after extra magic hour is over. They didn't even take advantage of the reason they planned to go there. Because once you get on vacation, setting your alarm is hard.
Yes. Yeah. Especially
hard.
now when it's often before 7 a.m.
Yep. Someone's got to get up
Well,
early nowadays.
It's always
gotta-
me.
Gotta make those lightning lanes.
All right. Well, we are going to now do a quick, fun little game. Not really a game, but little thing.
Is it called the lightning round? Because I've
I
heard
like
that one
games.
before.
Well, it's going to be kind of like a lightning round because this is Disneyland versus Walt Disney World.
Ooh.
And I'm just going to list an attraction that is at both parks. And you tell me quickly which one you prefer. Like this is one that is at both parks, but is, similar,
Okay,
but
got it,
people
got it.
often
Got
argue
you.
about it.
Like pirates. Got it.
Got it.
that may or may not be.
I mean, it's
something I'm gonna
probably.
say soon.
There's only so
These
many
are all
things.
kind of obvious. There aren't that many
Yeah.
options. I'm not going to be like which Peter Pan is better. That's whatever. That's Disneyland, but whatever. Okay, Space Mountain, Derek,
Disneyland, because you can sit side by side with people.
Doug. Do you agree?
Land, yes, because it's also hyperspace mountain a lot.
True,
Yeah.
and it also is not as rough. So I agree.
It
Both
was
of you are
also
correct.
the last space mountain I went on was at Disneyland.
Onboard audio too.
Yes.
All good. You guys are correct.
Yeah.
I don't really know if you're right or wrong. It's a Small World, Doug. Which one's better?
Land, because it has Disney characters included.
Oh, absolutely land. I like land. I hate worlds. There you go. Easy one.
All right, this might be a little tougher. Haunted Mansion, Derek.
I'm going to lean towards Disney World because Disneyland, every time I go, it is closed.
And this year will be closed most of the year.
Yeah.
So, what do you think, Doug? Do you agree? Disney World?
I like the overlays, so I'm going to say land because you get something that mixes it up. However, because of the overlays, it's closed when Derek goes.
Yeah.
You should just pick a different time of year.
You know,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
makes
yeah.
sense when I go. It just happens.
That one's a tough one for me. I don't know. I might say land, but that one's not as cut and dry. This one might be more cut and dry. Doug, Pirates of the Caribbean.
Paris. Well, that's not okay. Land.
No, actually, I'll accept that.
Okay.
Paris is very
Yeah.
good.
Shanghai
I do-
Disney, I want to go on that Pirates really bad. I'll tell you
I-
what.
I almost feel like that's like a different like a different category.
Different
It's so
thing.
different. It's like how trying to compare Haunted Mansion and like Mystic Manor or something. But yes, I agree. I also would like to go on that someday. All right, Derek, do you have been to
Disneyland.
Paris?
Absolutely. No, Disneyland
You know, it's funny.
is great.
I'm not trying to make the point that Disneyland's like better at everything. It's just these attractions in particular.
They are.
That is often the case. But this one might be different. Derek, Big Thunder Mountain.
Ooh, that's a good one. You know what? I'm going to lean towards Disney World. I just like that one a little bit more.
Doug, do you agree?
I have to abstain because I've never ridden Disneyland's.
Oh, okay.
It's motion sickness.
Oh, that's right. I didn't even think
Yeah,
about
so
that.
Disney World, I've done it, but yeah.
I've done
Disney-
both of them. I here's the caveat. I did Disney Worlds during fireworks, and I think that just is installed in my brain as like the pinnacle. And so I can't get out of that.
That makes sense. I will say Disney World is more impressive visually from the outside. Disneyland has the cool effects on the third hill. That's
If-
what I would say.
If
So-
one of them would somehow have like a goat petting zoo right behind it, it would be my favorite.
Well, you know,
It's just an idea, Imagineers, throwing it out there. Maybe you could tear something down that's right back there to put that in.
nothing important.
No.
Nothing they spent a lot of money on. You know,
Not at all.
it's all good. Okay, well that is it for the Disneyland versus Disney World. I think you
All
guys did pretty well.
Oh, I was expecting at least Buzz Lightyear because those are
Oh, that
two
is a good one.
completely
Let's
different
try. Let's do
attractions.
that one, Derek. Buzz
Okay.
Lightyear.
I'm going, even though I've done them both, I'm going Disney World because I can get
Mhm.
Galactic Hero on Disney Worlds every time. I can't freaking figure out Disneyland's even though I can hold the gun.
Right. Agreed.
Okay, sweet. I didn't know.
Interesting. See, I would have said Disneyland because you can hold the gun. Because I get annoyed when I'm riding with someone and they keep turning me the wrong way, which people like to do on Disney World. You know,
Well,
it's like,
just
no, I'm
tell
facing
'em-
the wrong way.
You just have to be in charge of the steering. It's claim you have motion sickness, and that's why you have to steer. That's what I do all the time.
Here's another weird one. Autopia versus the Tomorrowland Speedway. This just came off the top of my head. Doug, have you done both? I guess
Mhm.
is the first question.
Disneyland.
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree. You got the robot and the bird. You got all that
Stuff.
stuff. You know, there's stuff. It's
There's
not
hills.
2 seconds. But I don't know, Derek. Do you agree?
It's tough because I've done it, but my kids have done the Speedway in Florida. And so there's something magical about like with the memories and nostalgia that my kids have done one and not the other.
All right, I'm going to ask you another kind of question you have not been prepped for, though I've heard you may not have read the topic, so it may not matter. Okay, Doug,
Mhm.
we're all getting older. Though you guys, I think, are younger than me, but we're all getting a little older. What is your favorite old man attraction at a Disney theme park?
Oh, People Mover.
Oh, son of a
100%.
gun, you
It's-
took mine. Oh, Doug.
no, okay.
It might go too fast, though. I don't know.
All right, here's my other. I can't believe I'm gonna say this, but like the Hall of Presidents is kind of an old man attraction. That the air
That
conditioning
is.
is so good. I went not our last trip, but the trip before. I went and did that on my own, and like the dude like 5 seats over woke me up as he was leaving. Like, hey, buddy, time to go. Like it was just me and like 5 other guys just spread out in the back third of the theater. I was asleep before the curtains moved all the way open, if you know what I mean. So there you go. That if that doesn't say old man show, I don't know what does. All right,
Yeah,
Derek.
I think that's a good one. Derek,
I was gonna-
you can do People Mover or
is what it was mine, was the first one. But now
You
that you're
can.
saying that, I'm thinking American Adventure. 'Cause that's
Oh.
the time I go in there out cold. I've never been
longer,
able to
too.
watch the thing all the way through.
Not to dog on like Hall of Presidents, the new version.
Oh,
They
it's
redid
great.
it.
I feel
It's
very
really good.
patriotic.
Like when I stay awake and I'm energized, like I come out of there like, give me my American flag. Let's go claim some land. But but when it's that's a solid nap. I just hope I don't snore too loudly to disrupt other people's viewing.
Yeah, American Adventure, I come out of that the same way, but it is very long and very comfortable in there. Yeah, I took my kids to Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln, and they were like, looked at me like I was the oldest man in the world when we finished.
Yeah.
I was like,
did
this is
that
great.
too.
And they're like, why did we sit there? Why did we do that? So,
The
And
Liberty Bell
after-
going around, that's another
Oh.
one. My kids were like, wow, this was fun at one time.
This doesn't even have seats, Dad.
I love the riverboats. That is my old man attraction. I have a lot of them, apparently. All right. Let me see here. Okay, let's ask this question. Pretty simple question. Flip side of before. Derek, what is your favorite all-time attraction at any Disney park? Favorite
is-
all-time. Actually, you could say Universal too. Favorite all-time attraction.
Oh, Universal, then I'm going Hagrid's Magical Adventure. But my favorite attraction, I think for experienced first time and then with the family is Millennium Smuggler's Run. Doing that for the first time as a Star Wars fan, punching in the hyperspace. I've never smiled. It hurt my face. And then I got to take my family and them all yelling and screaming, I'm gonna shoot it, Chewbacca. And that attraction still lives up. I know I've done it 3,000 times. I still smile every time I'm on there with my kids. And then Doug got us Chewbacca
Don't-
mode one time.
Yeah, don't sleep on Chewbacca mode.
No, we got
That is-
Chewbacca mode. So it's my favorite attraction. And one day it's
Wow.
going to need an update, but I'm good with it. But yeah, if you're going all time, man, Hagrid's Magical Motorbike, that thing is incredible.
Wow. That's impressive. Yeah, and I have not been the pilot on Smuggler's Run. I've done a
What?
lot of
Then you
I've
haven't
fixed-
done it.
I have fixed the ship a lot as the engineer. I've been the gunner before multiple times. They look at me and they're like, "Sir, you are not pilot material." Apparently,
That's-
even with my kids there, they
We
haven't
went
done
during
it.
the pandemic and it was a group of us, and it was like we're the only ones at the park. So we basically I think we rode it 7 times in a row, made
A
sure
lot.
everyone did every position and called it good. And I was like, okay, this is great.
I think that helps. Yes, it's very
The first time I did Chewbacca mode was with my son's friends and a couple other dads. We went on it, I think it was 6 times, spring break, pandemic, still wearing masks outside type of pandemic time.
Mhm.
And finally we got it and like everybody rejoiced. It was like the greatest experience ever.
Well, that does sound really awesome. Doug, do you have a favorite attraction, not Smuggler's Run,
I'm
at
just
any park? Any park.
moving a little bit down the walkway there and going to Rise of the Resistance. It's all encompassing of storytelling and like back when it was newer, like I was there the day it opened. That's a whole show itself. But like going on it with someone that it was their first time to ever ride it
Mm.
became my favorite thing. After like my kids had been on it like 4 or 5 times, right? And then we'd have some other people stuck in the car with us, and I enjoyed seeing them to react to the different jump scares and different things, and it's fascinating. And that still happens to today when you go on it. You can be in there with a car full of people that never been on it before, and it's
Oh yeah, it blows my mind every time. It is one of those where they're like, "Oh, you're gonna, if there's a line, I'm like, oh, $25, whatever, sure."
Yep.
It feels like it's worth,
Here's
which
my
is a
money.
lot, but it's worth it. Okay, I am curious. Speaking of Star Wars, like, Doug, what's a franchise? Like, there's the big franchises: Star Wars, Marvel, Indiana Jones, Avatar, or whatever. What's a franchise do you think Disney should add more things to the parks? And you don't have to pick those.
Ooh.
If there's something else, if you love Frozen, whatever, just whichever one that you would like to see more of.
I kind of have two different thoughts here. So, like, we have the whirlwind of emotions from Inside Out, right? I feel like we totally missed on a revamp of Imagination Pavilion with that already. And they're doing a second movie, so it clearly had the run to do it, but that's not a huge IP. If you want to go huge IP, it's something that they're just now doing something with, and that's Percy Jackson. I don't know how many books I have bought, but there's like 75. So I know there's source material, right? So that's something that I think has enough to carry a whole land, the Greek god, and like, hey, I don't know, Disneyland Paris, that might have made even more sense there. Closer to Greece? I don't know. Maybe they pay less attention to that in Greece than we do. I actually no, they don't. They love it. But so I think that has enough material to be a lot. I know one of my daughters is like counting down until it's live on Disney Plus every Tuesday night.
Oh, we've been watching it. My daughter's read a lot of the books, and I can tell compared to the movies, which she was not as excited about, that the show is really doing a good job. They also
Yes.
had the whole scene at the Arch in St. Louis.
Oh yeah.
Which I was enjoying. I was like, oh, and there's no way to fall from the arch into the Mississippi River. I gotta say,
No, my
Not
daughter
possible.
was explaining to me how in the book that's what happens because he evidently didn't go
Oh,
check out the
spoilers,
source,
guys.
right?
it's really not that big of a.
The
Okay.
book's been out a while. So the way they did it in the show, my daughter was like, "Okay, we'll let that work. That was a good rewrite. All right."
Oh, well, I like that though. Because I've heard it's doing better. I mean, again, streaming numbers are weird, but I have heard they're
Yeah.
getting higher numbers than Secret Invasion. Oh, and
Wow.
Loki, which I liked. So
Loki
both
was
of
really
doing better
good.
than both of those is pretty impressive. But Derek,
Quick one. I mean, the easy layup, Marvel. I don't know how we don't have the Spider-Man attraction in Walt Disney World. It drives me insane. Figure it out with
Lawyers,
Universal.
Derek.
I know.
yes, contracts.
Money's lawyers. I don't
They're
deal
not
with
giving
that.
that up.
I know. So that's the easy layup. But the one character I really want to see somehow come into the parks is Bluey. Not only are my kids obsessed with Bluey, like all of our friends' kids, like all the parents at like every
Mhm.
PTO, every event thing, people are talking about Bluey. And I think it's actually a really good show on really good family dynamics. I don't know how Hollywood Studios hasn't pulled them into anything back in the animation courtyard area, but I do think Bluey is a great one to be able to add for easy money. Meet and greet Bluey Visa booth. I don't know, something. Feel like that's a simple one, but yeah, Bluey needs to get into the parks.
Both of yours have the same problem, Derek. Lawyers.
Yes, lawyers, money and lawyers. You know what? things I don't worry about. If I was running the show, I'd be like Walt Disney, be like, I don't care about money and stuff. Just figure it out.
And to be honest, on mine with Percy Jackson, I actually don't know who owns
Yeah,
theme
I don't
park
either.
rights. It's very possible Six Flags owns it or Universal Comcast, and they're just sitting on it, right? Like you buy up rights and then just sit.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I
I don't know
forgot
that
Who owns
either.
Bluey rights now. Now I'm curious.
Yeah, I don't know that
I'm
either.
pretty
I
sure
know at the
some
Marvel, but
park in Australia, New Zealand owns the
They own
theme
the
park
theme
rights.
park. Oh, they do. You know what's funny
Yeah.
is I saw the characters. So
Oh.
yeah, they're see that's the thing. I've seen the characters are out there meet and greeting.
Wrong
They're not at Walt Disney
continent.
World.
you think they could somehow, well, I mean, not to, they could make a deal like to
Right.
license it to Disney,
Oh, I'm sure.
and they could charge Disney a lot of money. So,
But
Disney
Disney
doesn't like
doesn't-
spending money though.
No.
You've
that is
nailed
true. Disney in theory would spend money, but not so much.
No.
No, not at all. Okay, well, we're going to start winding down soon. I have a few more things I'm going to ask you here. Here's a fun one. If you could bring back one of these former perks, which would you like to see the most? We have a few here. I'll start with Derek. The options are you can bring back Magical Express. You can bring back extra magic hours where they were 1 hour before, like 3 hours at night. Or you can bring back free FastPass Plus exactly how it was in 2019. No individual lightning lanes, no virtual queues, free FastPass Plus. Which one would you bring back?
Oh, FastPass Plus. I was obsessed with FastPass. I was like on the app making them. Can I get number 6? Can I get number 7? Can I get number 8? I love the idea of having 3 e-tickets basically booked before your trip even starts and knowing that you are going to guarantee those attractions. So you can rope drop 1 or 2 other things. And so you know you're going to get 5 or 6 things done in a day. So I do miss the old FastPass strategy. When I would have those booked, like nothing brought joy to me. Like that's when the vacation truly began, is when I knew
When you were
what
on your app?
attractions. When I was on my app booking fast passes.
On my computer, usually. I
Yes.
was.
Sweet. I got Star Tours at 3. I know where I'm going to be at that time.
It's interesting. I would have thought you'd say Magical Express, but I understand
Originally
your
I
reasoning
was
completely.
until you dropped that third one. Like I was
Yes.
like, oh, he said Magical Express. That's
Well,
I miss Magical
Also,
Express.
we spend more on Genie Plus lightning lanes, individual lightning lanes, than we do on Uber. So even from
Yeah.
a dollars and cents standpoint, it
That
makes
makes
sense.
sense.
But
Spend
from a
several $100
functionality,
easy.
way better.
Not gonna lie, I do miss like my luggage just magically appearing in
Oh,
the room.
yeah.
Still haven't figured out how
Ooh.
they did that, but it was great.
Yeah. Airport check-in at the resort,
Oh,
whether you're on
stop
Magical
it,
Express
Doug.
or not.
Oh,
That
that was the
was-
Forgotten
best.
about
That was the
and you
That was
brought
better
back
than when they
memories.
arrived.
And that wasn't even a Disney thing. That was a third party, and that was fantastic.
Yeah,
Ah.
because the Magical Express, I would get to the room and be like, "Come on, bags, we're ready. Come on." You'd have to wait a little while.
Oh yeah.
But giving up your bags at the resort and not having to see them till you got home. I mean, come on,
Yeah,
that's
that was the better. deal.
that's the ticket. Okay, here's another one for you, Doug. Which of these Epcot attractions would you update first? Like, what needs it the most? Spaceship Earth, Seas with Nemo and Friends, or everyone's favorite, Journey into Imagination with Figment?
All right. Well, I have 2 copies. So Seas is great. It's fine. Leave it alone. They tell dental jokes at the end. It's perfect. the starfish knocks it out of the park. So there's one scenario in which it should be Spaceship Earth. All other scenarios are imagination. There's about 25 different ways to go with it. You have Figment inside, the head with all the other people from Inside Out, or you go Phineas and Ferb. That's long gone. That played out. But like, there's something you can do there. That should be fixed 100%. But there's one reason to update Spaceship Earth. It's fine as it is. It still has a line when it shouldn't have a line at Rope Drop. So people don't need a reason to go other than it's a gigantic golf ball. But if they were to update it and make me the narrator, I support that.
Okay.
Wow, that's a really compelling argument, though.
That's
Would you
fine.
make a lot of dental jokes? Like, would it be instead of
I
Judy
don't
Dench
think so. I
talking about
don't know.
taxes?
Oh no,
you would talk
Doug
about
would
dentistry?
argue like the taxes scene would be like way too long. It'd be like, hey,
Yeah.
we're 3 scenes in. We should be talking about like the future, and Doug's still complaining about taxes.
Yeah, taxes and being.
We're both self-employed,
Self-
by the way.
yeah.
Tax season's upon us.
Everybody
Oh.
talks about their rebates. Sure.
Derek, do you agree? You probably say imagination, given what you
Oh,
said
yeah.
earlier.
Oh man, I want that fixed. The fact that it's not drives me
Yeah.
insane and angers me
Yep.
every time I'm on the attraction.
Excellent. Well, I only have one more question here. I'm going to start with you, Derek. Is there something on your theme park bucket list that you have never done that you still would like to do?
I have yet to get overseas to any of the theme parks in Disney. I want to get to all of them. So Tokyo, Hong Kong, even Paris. I do eventually want to just, if I had the money to spend on that $100,000 flight to go like ABD and do all the parks, done. Like if we could find a sponsor for that, send Doug and I,
Yeah.
we will make that happen.
Maybe the three of us.
We would get.
Whoever's
I love it.
listening.
Let's all go. We'll do a live the whole
Record
time.
the whole
Disney,
thing.
you want some free publicity? We will do that. So yeah, there's the goal right there. It's just to get to all of them.
I like it. Doug.
Tokyo, that's my main bucket list right now. Tokyo. If not Tokyo, then hopefully get on the Disney adventure when it's sailing out of Singapore. Not sure. If either will happen for quite a while. Lousy kids in high school.
Well, yeah, for me, it's probably Tokyo. Yeah, I mean, you could get really, in the weeds, but I think Tokyo is the big one. Okay, so guys, this was really fun. I'm going to save the questions I didn't ask for some future episode because I think we'd probably be here till about.
I saw the
if I asked
snack
all
one. The
questions.
only one I prepared
Yeah.
for is the one you did not ask.
Okay, real quick, what's your
Okay.
go-to snack?
A Gaston cinnamon roll. Done. Get it? It's great. Actually, that line's getting too long, so keep it secret.
But make sure you ask for extra icing. We'll
Free
cover
icing.
it.
Yep.
Say, can I have my free icing covered by Rope Drop Radio?
Do you have to say covered by Rope Drop Radio?
It's just better for branding.
People
yeah.
tweeted us when they do it, and it cracks me up.
Yeah.
Doug, what
like-
about you? I
like,
didn't
thank
know what
you.
you prepared.
Because you say nothing obvious like Dole Whips, which is my go-to snack that you just snatched
Mm-hmm.
right away from me. I feel like popcorn's too obvious. So we like to go to the confectionery stands, and I like the chocolate-covered pineapple spear.
That's a good one.
I like it. I also really like Dole Whip. I just, us raving about Dole Whips, I'm like, there's got to be something beyond that. So that's a good one. I like it. All right. Well, I'm glad we got to cover that. I'm sorry, Derek, that I was.
It's the only question I read on there, and I was like, good, got it. That one I have down.
Who does?
Well, I went to most of them. I just, I feel like you got to save something for the future. You got to leave people wanting more.
So we're going to come back on in another 4 years.
Yes.
Oh, hopefully it'll be less time. I'm doing the show weekly now, so I need more guests. So it will be shorter time. Well, this was really fun. I'd love for you guys to tell people where they can check out Rope Drop Radio, connect with you online, all the stuff.
Yeah, you can find Rope Drop Radio wherever you listen to podcasts, Apple, Spotify, all of them. And then you can follow us online at Rope Drop Radio, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. And if you can message us any of your questions, we'd love to interact with you. And just thank you, anyone who is listening. Finish this show, leave a review, and then come over and listen to ours.
That's right.
I like it. It's definitely finish this show, but then
and leave a review.
Yes, leave a review, of course. I'll read it on the show. Don't get as many as you guys. You guys get a lot of reviews. And I appreciate that.
We're catching up.
You're reading ones from 6 months ago or something. You're
July.
Almost there.
We're in July, early July right now. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, guys, this was really fun. I feel like I know a lot more about what you think about the parks, and I agree mostly, but that's pretty good. So thanks so much to both of you. It's been awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, that was really fun. What I enjoy about Doug and Derek's show is that they are so consistent every week, and they've done 404 episodes as of this recording. And if you even just glance back at the last few they've done, they had a Genie Plus show, which, we'll see. It'll probably go out of date soon, but you never know the way that Disney is going. They did one on reverse rope dropping where you're not showing up early. They had the one we talked about in the show about ranking the resorts. And you look a little further back, they actually have one about rope dropping and just go through different things. And the big thing that I take away is it's just a fun way to kind of, for 30, 40 minutes a week, just to check in and learn a few tips, and then also just to have some fun talking about Disney, which is what I hope we did on this show. It was a blast to talk to both of them and hope to do so again at some point down the road. And if you would like to look back at the many episodes, we only started weekly here pretty recently here at the Tomorrow Society podcast, but we have 221 past episodes with podcasters like Doug and Derek, with authors, filmmakers, composers, former Disney Imagineers, quite a few of those, including my recent interview with Davey Fighton, which was so much fun. You can go to tomorrowsociety.com/podcast with an S at the end to learn more, or you can just look back on whatever you listen to podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Overcast, wherever. Just scroll back and all the episodes are there. So you can just carve out some time on your next road trip or flight. And I'm sure you can find an episode with someone that interests you because there's a lot out there. If you would like to help me out in this fun little project that I still enjoy doing, you can become a member of the Tomorrow Society through Patreon. Make a small monthly contribution. You get access to some really cool perks, including bonus podcasts at each level, including the New Horizons tier, which I just added, where I am doing bi-monthly Attraction Tribute podcast. I just released the first one about soaring over California. Learn all about everything there at patreon.com/Tomorrow Society. Or if you just like to help out a little bit, you can buy me a Dole Whip. Make a one-time contribution by going to tomorrowsociety.com/Dole Whip. We don't have any sponsors or paid advertisements or anything else. Just me and the guests trying to put on the best show we can. And thanks to all of you so much for all the great support during the, if you can believe it, more than 8 years that this show has been happening. If you would like to get a hold of me, let me know what you think of the show. You can email me, dan@tomorrowsociety.com. Follow me on all the social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, Twitter. Just search for Tomorrow Society and you will find me. There's also a channel on YouTube where sometimes I will be posting videos plus all the podcasts. Just search for Tomorrow Society on YouTube. The music you are hearing right now was written by Adam Hookey and performed by the Sophisticated Babies. Next time, I'll be talking with former Disney Imagineer Brandon Kiley. He was on the show a few years ago talking about his career and what he did on Waterworld and Pandora and especially on Trader Sam's. This time, we are spotlighting Indiana Jones. Brandon has been a fan of Indy since he was very young and saw the Epic Stunt Spectacular. Also directed a documentary called Indy Fans, all about fans of Indiana Jones. And so we're going to dive into all the attractions themed to Indiana Jones. We also talk about the potential for the Tropical America's Land coming. And also we get Brandon's thoughts on Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, the most recent film. There is something for everyone in this episode, and I think you're going to really enjoy it. Thank you so much for listening, for all the great support for the show, and I will talk to you again very soon.